customer possibly has made up their mind to say, dude, I don't want to spend so much amount of money, so I'm going to cancel. So it's a very difficult turn point where you want to keep the customer, but it's difficult to keep the customer because they don't want to pay.
There are people who don't like subscriptions. With 10 and 11 subscriptions adding up, people are going and taking a check in their mind on like, do I really need a subscription?
How do you go about a pricing strategy?
I would say pricing is a difficult topic, especially you want to be transparent to the customers. You want to be very clear on what the customer is going to be
I've
charged.
been paying that $240 a year subscription, and I think since last 3 months they've been prompting me to say, like, if you need more AI credits or something, please bump up your subscription to the next level.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our podcast, Everything Product. In this podcast, we talk about latest technology insights, different product management concepts, and we also host wide variety of technology leaders shaping up our industry. I'm very excited for the podcast episode today. Today we'll be talking to Kaushik Sampath, one of our very dear friends, and he's also a product leader shaping up the subscriptions model at different companies. He's currently a product leader at Curology, and he has worked on subscriptions model at multiple companies. Today we'll be talking about how anyone can use a subscriptions model to generate revenue, and we'll also be touching upon topics on how artificial intelligence can shape up the subscriptions model to evolve in the industry. So, Kaushik, thank you so much for taking time and talking to the Everything Product team today.
Thank you, Funny. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to talk to you all and talk about subscriptions here.
Awesome. Before we jump into all the questions that we have planned for you, if you don't mind, can you do a quick introduction just for our audience to get to know you?
Absolutely. So to start off, I'm doing growth at Curology. I'm leading growth products at Curology. I've been doing this for the last 2 years. Think about go to market, think about launching new products, thinking about conversion, monetization. All of that is under the things I work on. And before this, I worked at BarkBox doing retention products, customer success, internal tools, and platform. So the last two companies have really helped me understand subscription companies and how they work and what are the dynamics which have led to subscription companies prospering in the last 5 to 10 years significantly. So if you look at my background, I'm a data engineer. That's how I started off at consulting with Deloitte. And I got to do my MBA and really understood how you want to solve customer problems. And that led me to the product management space. And here I am, getting an opportunity to speak with you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. Let's start with a very simple question. So, why do you think subscriptions have become so crucial in the modern business?
Subscriptions in this world if you look at it from a very purely business point of view, it gives you stability. It gives you a steady revenue source. As a company, you're looking at what's my monthly recurring revenue, what is my yearly revenue, and subscriptions are a beautiful way for you as a business to thrive and get real predictability on what your revenue streams are. Second, it's also a very attractive side for investors. When you have predictability in revenue and how the company is going, it's very attractive for investors because now they can see how your company is performing in terms of retention, like what's your pricing, whatnot, and understand, okay, what's your growth rate and what would your revenue be at end of year 1, year 2, year 3. So that's purely looking from a business point of view. Let's look at the customer side of things. If you look at customer side of things, customer purchasing and usage behavior has really changed. If you look at the last 10 years, let's think about where businesses started. Subscription business started. Subscription businesses started in like gym memberships or started in like newspapers and all those spaces. But right now, subscription has gone into all those new verticals because it allows you to understand what the customer is doing. You have a steady customer base and you have that usage information from the customers, and then you can start personalizing what you can do for customers. And the other side is scalability, right? Like from a technology point of view, it's repeat and deploy. You have the ability to look at subscriptions efficiently and help it scale from a technology point of view. So I'll keep it there. I think those are the 3 points from a really business point of view and customer point of view where subscriptions have really grown up. One point I really want to share is why are customers interested in it? If we've talked about business side of things, but if you talk about customer side of things, it's convenience. It's curated selection, and it's also flexibility. It's also like I can cancel anytime. I don't have to think about ownership here. It's more about access. So thinking about both sides, right? Business, customer here, and also tech side, your scalability. I think those 3 things really play into why subscriptions have grown in the last 10 years or so.
Yeah,
and
that's true. So I could very strongly remember some of good examples actually. Like when we were in Columbus, so I could think of like what is that, Stitch Fix or something like that. That is the first time I've seen a subscriptions model on clothes. Like when I
Yeah.
think about myself, there is a lot of cognitive load when you're trying to go purchase clothes. But imagine someone or some expert doing clothes shopping for you, sending it every month based on the preference that you have. You would want, let's say, ties for a month, t-shirts for a month, etc. Someone is choosing those. Some expert is choosing those for you and sending it. Yeah, that's awesome. And another big example that I could think of is Microsoft.
Yeah.
Microsoft switching from you purchasing a software to a subscription based model where you pay a minimal amount on a monthly basis. From a company perspective, they are making sure the customers are not using the exact same old software for like tens of years. And at the
Yeah.
same time, they also continually get the revenue and keep the customer for a long time. Yeah.
Exactly.
I've seen this expanding to like several industries as well. Yeah.
yeah,
Go ahead, Sidhu.
no subscription, right? Like when I look back 10 years back, it was maybe Netflix and Prime. Now I have a bunch of subscriptions which I have to keep track of, and I don't overpay and all of that stuff. So the industry has evolved a lot, right? So I think even bigger players like Apple is moving more into subscription revenue. They want a stable income and all of that stuff. So could you maybe throw light on what are some of the common trends in the subscription business in the last decade?
Let me use some examples. When you think about subscriptions, right? I talked about the customer mentality, about ownership versus access. That's how it started, where now everybody moved into all these different spaces. And if you look at how do you want to do, like, think about movie DVDs and songs, which we used to own, we used to buy those things. And now Netflix has enabled us to have that as content as a service. Now you don't have to own it, but you have a huge variety of selection. Uh, in the next 10 years or in the last decade, how it's evolved is because of this mindset change of the customer and so many options available. Technology has scaled so much that you have so many options at scale available to you. The customer mindset has changed from ownership to access. And that is why I think subscription businesses are growing and will continue to grow in the future. I would say it's not limited to a certain industry. It's across industries. Curology is in the skincare industry. It's a prescription healthcare company, and it's highly regulated because we have regulations on what kind of medical data we collect, because it's a dermatologist founded company and we have real information about customers. But switch it, you go to beauty. There's also entertainment, as you said, and then there's cars too. Like, you have subscriptions from physical goods to digital services and across industries and scale. Think about Teslas. You have a Tesla subscriptions for full self-driving. You have Tesla subscriptions for entertainment inside their UI for connecting to internet. So subscriptions is everywhere, and I think what is ending up to be happening is everything as a service mindset. What I want to call that is, let's think about the history, and I'll try to bridge that gap into everything as a service mindset, which is physical goods was there as as a service primarily. Let's think about 1990s. You had physical goods, you were using it, and physical goods started becoming as a service by when tech started in. Amazon started this physical goods being a service with subscribe and save as early as 2007, and then physical goods became a digital format as a service. Converting all these newspapers, movies into a digital format. Then you think about software as a service. You've talked about Shopify for small businesses. You have talked about uh, you know any software solution you want to get it on a monthly basis for small businesses. And now I think where it's going is anything and everything can be a service. And with the customer mindset of so many different options, you want to plug and play and like switch it on, switch it off on your convenience. And I think that's where it's going, and it's continuing to evolve.
Yeah, I've seen more into furniture, technology. I even remember like back in India, like if you want the entire like appliances and stuff, everything can be rented on a monthly basis. You'll continue to pay subscription when you're done with it. Like let's say after a year or something, like that, you just give it.
Yeah, even
Let's go a
hardware
little
Yeah.
bit more deeper,
devices,
right?
phones, everything is subscription. Even fitness trackers is subscription now.
Yeah, one of the things which I also, I'm not sure if you guys watched this video. I watched a video from Mind the Product CPO where he was talking about a subscription, like I think from Evernote, where they failed. I think they were kind of offering different subscriptions, and the services within the subscription, like if you want to contact customer service, then you need the subscription, which is pretty bad. I think they need to be very careful in the way they sell the services under different subscriptions, because it's like, okay, if you have a problem, then you need subscription, versus if you have a problem, you can reach out to something, versus offering something unique within the subscription. So yeah, I think probably that we'll probably see more and more with, as you said, with everything being sold as a service.
Yep.
Let's go a little bit more deeper, right? So I know there is different schools of thought that you go through. One is you want to continually focus on acquiring customers
Mhm.
to take their subscriptions, and you'll also be probably thinking a lot about retaining them. And then a final thought process there is if a customer is about to churn, or if you have any indicators that the customer is churning, how do you want to keep them? So let's think about product managers. Like, how you as a product manager, how do you balance all of those things within the company?
So in subscription businesses, funny, at least in the last 1 year, and even as a PM in a subscription business, the last 1 year, what I've seen as a change is a PM is involved a lot more in making the business thrive. So it's, as you said, it's not just about my realm of like I'm in growth. It's not about my realm of just growing the customer base, but it's also like how do I grow in a very sustainable way? How do I grow that the funnel is not a leaky bucket? I acquire customers, I need to activate them, I need to retain them, and how do I make sure that they stick with us over the long term? So at a meta level, when think about when you think about product at like these companies, right? And you're looking at a simple, like let's think about definitely focusing on acquiring acquisition. That's super important. There are two levers to acquisition. One is marketing led acquisition, and the other is product led acquisition. So all of the companies, to start off, will rely a lot on marketing led acquisition, because that's where you're going to spend on your marketing dollars to get people to understand your brand, understand what is your product, what is your service, what is your offering, to bring them to your site. And then once you bring the user to the site, that's where a PM's role comes in on like how do I take this customer, let them know what we offer from your homepage to your onboarding experience, and then make them do the first purchase. So that's all in my realm of like how do I grow the customer and like bring the customer and uh, make that first purchase. So if you look at again going back to the meta level, what I want to say is all this is important, and then retention is also a super important role, because when you're going through this marketing led approach, what ends up happening is you could retain these people, but you're not going to be retaining at a much higher level. So you need efforts to help them engage, help them use your products in a better way, so that you can help retain. So at a meta level, you need both these functions to coexist, and at the early phase, you need more and more people to know your brand and come through. So that's when marketing led approach is important in the beginning. But then again, this is also dependent on industry to industry. So right now I'm in a physical consumer goods business. So you really need to buy the product, use the product to know it. And versus like a digital subscription company, people can start off with a freemium subscription. You need marketing, but you can start off with a freemium model where people will start off using your services for free, and then start in and understanding the value the product gives you, and then convert them into a paying user. So yeah.
I want to go a little bit. That's a very interesting thing, right? So, if I think about Curology, like back in the time, I used it once or twice. So, at that time, I think the first month is going to be very low in terms of the purchase price. You're going to give multiple products for like $5, $10, something like that. You're making sure the customer is using the product, engaging with the product, and then you're trying to convert the customer into a regular price. I know that I'm sure there is a huge funnel drop between the first month to the second month, because many times people might just try it out because it's like way more cheaper. But in order for them to convert, it's going to be a difficult conversion. So, what goes in your mind, or what goes in the product thought process there to keep the customer?
So I want to speak about here is it's not a given that you always lose the customer base, even if you start on a freemium model or free trial model. So again, in the physical goods space, it's a free trial because you cannot perpetually give free for all of your or some sort of services, right? You can give 1 month for free, but then afterwards you have to start charging. Whereas for a digital product, it's freemium, where you can perpetually give free usage of products until a certain level, like YouTube, for example. So to your question, Funny, here of like the drop, it really depends, right? Like I think in the beginning phase of an organization, the free trial really works because people are really curious about your product. They want to try your product. They want to understand if it actually brings value. Think about Curology or BarkBox, right? You're buying the product and you have to see results with it. You have to see the value from a user point of view to really understand if it's going to work out for the long time. I want to add two details here. One is the product itself matters here because at Curology, the skincare, you're not going to see results immediately. And results is what matters. That's value for the customer. Whereas for BarkBox, we had products which we had subscription for, and dogs would immediately play with the toys, and that's immediate joy for the dog and for us. So there's not much wait time to see value in the product. Whereas for a product like skincare, you need to be on a regimen, you need to change your user behavior to see results over a long period of time. So those two dynamics are very important on usage and behavior and like the value creation part to actually see what is that drop in retention. So it's a very nuanced subject based on the product, based on the value you can generate.
No, that makes sense, Kaushik. Like the value part is very challenging, right? Like you said, if it's BarkBox, like you're able to see right away that someone's like your son or daughter or your pet basically is very happy. Um, but in the face of like Curology, it's difficult because, like you said, it's not about one. Even if you give it for a month, the person might not be using it on a continual basis. So a difficult thing that comes there is changing the consumer behavior so that they continually use the product and see the value out of it, so that they'll understand the benefit and then come back. Yeah.
Exactly. So here comes the value creation part for you, and that's when PMs can really influence things here, which is how do I build digital products that bridge the gap between their physical experience and the digital side of things? So think of the box delivery part. When you purchase something, you're at the most excited. The box gets delivered to you, and you want to see what is inside that box. So how can you give real value to the customer in the first 7 days and impress the customer of that value you provide? So few things come to my mind. Think about, I'm just trying to brainstorm, right? One is, how can I give really transparent information about where my product is and when is my product going to be shipped? When am I going to be getting it delivered to you? And getting them engaged, getting the user engaged in that initial part of the process could be one thing which could make them engaged and trust the brand as a company you're starting a journey with. So let's say shipping, delivery, being very clear on that, that's improving your customers' happiness, to say. So you can measure that in multiple ways. You can measure that on how soon are you shipping. Are customers even reaching out to understand where is their order, especially for the first box? Are the customers responding to your box within the first 7 to 10 days, on valuing the product and saying, hey, you know what, your product was amazing? Getting that CSAT, getting the scores. It's not CSAT. I forget the name, but it's a scores about. I forget the name of that, but yeah. So it's about it's about the happiness you can generate with the customer. So you want to measure that success in the initial phases. And then if you think about like another company where there's a usage based thing, so you don't want to check in maybe in the immediate 1 week, the first 7 days. You want to help them feel good in the next maybe 2 weeks sprint, because you're putting something on the skin. You don't want to be pushy and then do something right there.
That's actually a good thing, right? So it gives me a very good example. I don't know if the box is there here. So recently, my wife purchased a product called, I think, Everyday Dose. Um, it's it's basically a drink that you can continually have, boost your energy, etc. So there was an offer, and she made me purchase through my email and my number and stuff. So after that, what I realized is, once the product got delivered, they know when the product got delivered, right? Every day I get a message. Hey, very excited for your journey today. So first day, we would love for you to like try these things. The second day, another message came saying, hey, well, hopefully you started your journey well with us. Like, given that it's second day, try this out. Third one, dude, the time just flies so fast that you have already finished a couple of days. So even though I'm not thinking about the product, some trigger is coming to me every day, which is making me think and making me follow a certain process. Like you said, right? For Curology, especially like skincare products, where you need to get to that regimen. Especially thinking about myself, I don't even apply sunscreen very often. So making me get to that routine is like really important here.
Exactly. So you'll be able to connect what is that engagement rate to how they are retaining for their first box. So then you can decipher and understand like what levers you need to pull to see and understand like what is that aha moment for the customer. You're basically activating the customer in the first month and
You're finding
engaging
the
the
right
user and
direction.
making build of habit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Kaushik, I have a quick question, right? So you were talking about all of these different measures you're doing, trying to improve the process and all of that, right? To think through from a product manager's mindset who is in a subscription business, right? Whatever model it might be. What are some, touch points or data points which the product manager is looking at? Is it more customer interviews they'll be doing, or is it looking at the user journey, trying to understand what the friction is, or are there any other touch points which they can gather this information to improve the whole overall process, or grow the product or the subscription?
Yeah. So Sid, I think as a PM here, let's focus maybe on the onboarding and the sign up experience. And in the onboarding and the sign up experience, the first thing you're trying to look at is what are the drop-off points as they go through that journey. So that's like data directly available to you to understand, give an idea about where there are issues for you for in the sign-up flow. And then if you want to go one level deeper, you understand, okay, why there is a drop off there. And that is, you can do it through qualitatively, either through customer feedback, and these are prospective customers, right? So you can reach out to prospective customers where you've already collected their email, let's say, for example. Um, or second, you can also look at your customer success, or you can already look at existing customers and reach out to them and see, hey, what was so bad about our onboarding and sign up flow, and even pick out specific areas you want to focus on in terms of drop off. So I think that are a few things which we have done. I've done in the last few companies, and it's been helpful for us to really understand why are the customers dropping off than just a data point.
Awesome, thank you. And I'm assuming online and offline might be a little different. Online might be much easier than offline, right? Right? Maybe offline in the sense, right? There could be customers who are using all of the product, and there's a lot going on offline rather than what we see online, right? So I'm assuming that might be a little
Yes.
different, right?
Yeah, especially with the offline part, one of the things which is really difficult is changing a customer's behavior. Building a new behavior is extremely difficult when you don't have a lot of control over that. So what you can control is their online behavior a little bit, and you also want to balance it off with how much you want to hit them with those notifications, so as to say, because uh, if you focus too much on your notifications and whatnot, like in the current world where there are tens of subscriptions you have, and if everybody is getting all these notifications, then people are going to turn those notifications off and not really respond to them. So your response rate will go down. So you need to really balance it. How many notifications do you want to send? How much do you want to even interact with them? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need to be extremely careful. I think to Funny's point, the service that he recently got, probably it needs a little bit more engagement, but not like for a product like you mentioned, right? For a skincare, we cannot bug everyday customer. Oh, was it helpful today? Okay, did it improve your skin? We cannot do that every day, right? So, one of the questions which I also had, like, more on the pricing strategy or model, like behind building a subscription service. I'm sure we need to think about different pricing strategies and pros and cons about it. How do you go about a pricing strategy? And like, maybe can you share like few pricing strategies probably which were pretty helpful?
Yeah. I think from a pricing point of view, as we talked about freemium versus free trial. So I'll talk about free trial here because freemium is not really applicable to a consumer goods subscription
Yeah.
company. So free trial is one lever you can use to actually get the customer try your product. Another way for you to get the users using your product is giving them giving them a longer term plan where you can really offer a good discount on the product, and it's much easier for the customer to say, okay, I can commit to X dollars per month when I think about it 6 months. And another lever is like, okay, there are people who don't like subscriptions. With 10 and 11 subscriptions adding up, people are going and taking a check in their mind on like, do I really need a subscription? So giving them a flexible buying option of like, let them just buy one time and then see how the product is. So those are all levers you can pull, and these are all like different ways of not only pricing but also the way a user can purchase the product. And obviously, if you look into pricing specifically, Srinath, I think you have free trial, and then you have discounts. You can have gift with purchases. You can have more goods for the same price. So those are all different tactics you can employ to get the user interested in your product, and the purchase for the first purchase.
Got it. One of the things, like while you were mentioning that, I was thinking about my personal experience with one other product. I'm not sure if you guys experienced when I bought an Adobe subscription. I mean, sometimes some of the pricing strategies are so confusing. Maybe not confusing, it's misguiding, I feel. Like it says pay monthly, billed annually. So you will think that you are paying like monthly and it's month to month, I can cancel anytime. However, we cannot, like we are kind of stuck. If you try to cancel, then they again charge a termination fee and all. I feel like it's so misguiding. I mean, I personally didn't like that experience. It should be clear how you're gonna charge, and I felt like thinking about the pricing strategies is very important by companies. I'm not sure if you guys experienced, but good to hear thoughts.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, similar experience.
I
One of the products which I was looking at was like, if you pay monthly, it's $79. If you pay yearly, it's $12 per month. But at the end of the day, you're paying like the whole $150 or something like that. It's actually literally forcing you to pay for a year, even though you wanted maybe for a couple of months.
I agree, and I would say pricing is a difficult topic, especially you want to be transparent to the customers. You want to be very clear on what the customer is going to be charged, and you also want to tell them um, what is your first offer versus like what is your actual subscription price. So that should be very clear, because I think when it comes to pricing strategies and when it comes to offers in your first box, or like first month, that's a struggle I think every organization would face, because you don't want to say it's X dollars, but it is X dollars. But from a business point of view, it can hurt conversion. But from a customer point of view, you have to be really clear and transparent.
Actually, I have one question on that. So we spoke about onboarding experiences, we spoke about retention experiences, right? Talking about what Srinath told, like, let's say customer didn't have a good experience, and let's say if they want to churn. The problem from a business standpoint is you want to keep your LTV to CAC high, which means you want to make sure the customer is staying with the product for a longer period of time. So how do you make sure, like, especially for a customer who wants to churn, how do you keep them? Like, are there any strategies that you guys look into?
So when a customer, how I want to talk about this is, a customer is using your product, and let's say they're using the product, they find value in the product, they will continue to use the product. If they start questioning themselves, do I actually get that value? Is it really valuable? Then two things come into mind. Like, I think the equation becomes price, and price is equal to like price and value. So most of the reasons I've seen in subscription businesses generally, and people want to cancel their subscription because they don't want to keep paying that amount of money when they're not really using it. So there are two levers for like simple retention here, or like when people have decided to cancellation, it's kind of a reactive retention tactic here, which is when people have decided to cancel, you're going to try to figure out, can I give you a better deal? Can I give you a better deal and then help you retain, because we still want people to retain and not cancel. The second part is like, okay, can I give you maybe pause the subscription,
Okay.
or can they not have the service for the next few months. The other side of things is like, okay, maybe I'll give you lesser stuff. I'll give you lesser stuff, and that in turn reduces the amount of price you pay. So it is kind of in equal to how much your usage is. It kind of, based on my usage, I don't need that much product, so maybe that's what I'll try to do. So there are all these different levers you can pull from a reactive part, where the customer has already decided I want to cancel, and then you're trying to pull them in and like say, don't cancel. Whereas the proactive part of retention tactics is like, how can you keep them engaged, and give them value from box 1 to box 2 to box 3. And this could be like, again, personalization is key here. Each customer every customer is different. There are customers who are into their skincare business, and have a strong regimen. They would want to continuously try new products. So that's when you have to focus on your core business and be able to deliver those new products and value. So from a physical product point of view, it is, new products. Let's say I have a new cleanser, I have a new moisturizer, which is good for sensitive skin. But it's the same as Netflix. When you are a customer, you want to keep continuing having new content so that the customers engaged and they really are interested in using the product.
Mhm. Actually, that reminds me of what Audible made me do. So I continually pay for it on a monthly basis. So now I have, I think six. I can still buy like six books or something like that because I've been paying it on a monthly basis. If I go to their flow to cancel it, they'll be like, "Hey, if you cancel it now, all of the six books that you have acquired, you lose all of them." So now I'm like, dude, I paid for it 6 months, so I don't want to lose that. But you don't know suddenly what to buy. So the option that they give to is, okay, you can pause your subscription for 3 months. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to lose them. Let me pause it for 3 months. And then you'll get charged after that. Then you'll be like, damn it. Now I need to go back, buy the six books and then cancel it. But following those strategies, right? Making it a little bit more harder for the customer, because especially you've seen that customer using the product for like quite some time. So making it harder for the customer is also ensuring that they keep the customer for some more time so that they might change the mind.
One thing
Yeah.
which I observed was how like LinkedIn evolved, the way it was having the subscription. I think the way they are doing it now to keep as much customers as possible, I mean, retention them, like is like the same thing that you spoke about, Sampath. Like, kind of how do you give them like 2 more months free, 1 more month free? I think it continues to give. I've been using LinkedIn. I've been like I used like couple of times, canceled it, but it still is giving me free. Like if I want it for free for a month, it's still giving me that. I felt like LinkedIn has been doing really well, and also
Mhm.
kind of telling you, okay, kind of the things that you mentioned, right? Like how do you, okay, if this plan may not be the right fit for you, okay, there are other plans. Probably this is better for you since you have been exploring something like this.
And
So
even in premium, they have different tiers now. Like I've been paying that $240 a year subscription, and I think since last 3 months they've been prompting me to say like, if you need more AI credits or something, please bump up your subscription to the next level so that you can reach out to more people, have more email credits. So yeah.
Actually, Kaushik, I want to ask you about this. Like,
Yeah.
without talking about Netflix subscription, I don't think a podcast about subscription makes sense. So that was a huge change in the industry, right? In the past, Netflix as a subscription can be used by 5 different people. Those people could be anywhere across the globe. You can still use it. Netflix took such a big step of monitoring your IP addresses and
Mhm.
making sure that you're not sharing the subscription beyond your household within the same house or same domain space, and stopping other people from using that. Obviously they use the additional tiering and stuff as well. What are your thoughts on them changing it and making the entire industry evolve like that?
Couple of thoughts there. I feel like it's one of the things when you do where you're not growing as much, and then you have to. There's one that was one of the tactics for you to increase your customer base, where one account was being shared by 3 people. We were sharing it, and now everybody has those individual accounts, right? I think in the short term, in my mind, is it will increase your number of customers. But when you think about the long term, um, are am I going to retain? Like, am I going to continue paying that price point when I'm not really using it as much? So I'm thinking about this customer segment where who is not a heavy user of it, right? So, but they had this top tier plan because they're sharing with 2 or 3 people. And now, if you are not using that product as much, and if you want to have these individual accounts, why will I end up paying the subscription amount of money to keep the subscription? So, my personal example, I'm actually going to end up canceling my Netflix subscription right now. Uh, but that's just one example. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I've also gone through the same, right? I know we were sharing the subscription, but now I ended up taking mine. But what made me do at that point of time is exploring other subscriptions as well. Because if I'm paying certain amount for Netflix, Netflix is giving me certain content. Prime is giving me similar things. There is Hulu, there is Disney Plus, etc., which are giving like different contents. Do I want
Yeah.
to pay for multiple subscriptions, or can I explore other ones which are probably giving better content? Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
there are a lot of subscriptions who are bundling and giving it to us too, right? Like, so for example, T-Mobile gives you, if you are on a certain plan, they give you Netflix subscriptions. If I'm on AT&T, so I'm getting HBO Max. So now I'm questioning, do I have to keep having both Netflix and HBO Max? Maybe not. Like, for the amount of usage I have, I don't need two subscriptions. But till now I was okay with it, but now I'm like, okay, I don't need two subscriptions.
Yeah.
You guys
I
remember I think for Netflix when they introduced that, they're all of a sudden when they were kind of losing money. I think in the quarter after that, I think they made like they increased their bottom line by 25% or something. I can't
Yeah.
recall if it was revenue or profit, but yeah.
Yep. Actually, let's go a little bit more deeper into that, right? There are different product metrics that we need to look at to make some of these calls. So, for example, like Netflix as an example, might be looking at both subscribers, revenue, LTV to CAC, etc.
Mhm.
So, what are the different metrics that you guys typically look at and make any of these decisions?
So there's a lot of metrics. I'll call out probably important metrics here. You talked about CAC, cost of acquiring a customer. And that's something which is very important for subscription companies or anything where you have marketing as a proponent or as a part of your equation. So you're looking at CAC. You're looking at once the customer comes to your funnel or like the onboarding experience, what is the conversion? You're looking at how many people are actually converting, and that's where you get. That's where that is one input for your CAC too. So you have to define that cost of acquiring per customer on like, is it the first purchase or is it after this a first purchase? The second part here is once they make the first purchase, what can be defined as a metric for you to understand if they have actually activated. So are they actually engaged enough with your product to be, uh, which could be an indicator for you for future success. So that is something you have to define, and that will change from product to product. The third thing you want to look at is like, okay, how many people are retaining for my first billing? What does that renewal look like? How many people are actually churning, involuntary churn and voluntary churn? Those will give you a really good picture about like what's happening in that first 30 days or like first 45 days of your journey. Obviously, there are a lot of these are all product metrics, and I'm talking about LTV is a long-term metric which you think about like X months down the line, whatnot. So you need something to calculate that. What I want to add, like the secondary metrics which help you understand business side of things, is what is the average order value of that customer? What is the shipments? Even though they're a subscriber, are they getting shipments or are they not pausing it? So how many are active versus how many are like semi-active? What is then that combined with the number of people you started off with will help you understand what is the revenue. So you multiply all of these inputs to calculate your revenue per user, and that helps you figure out what your monthly MRR is, and then you will be able to understand, okay, what is your year-end revenue which you can generate for the business. And with the shift in everything happening with the product side, like you're more and more involved with revenue, and even the cost side of the business, especially with the physical side. Now cost is also into consideration, because you're giving gift with purchases. So you have to consider what gifts you want to give, what offers do you want to run. So take cost into consideration so that you can understand gross margin and then calculate profit that will help you give your LTV, lifetime value of the customer.
Yeah.
I think the revenue is a very important piece, right? A lot of times I've seen also companies price their subscriptions very less and lose money as they get more and more customers. So I think pricing the subscription at the appropriate price and also generating the at least like the bucket size for each of the customers is also a key thing which you kind of have to look at on a regular basis.
Yeah, from my experience, when I worked in Amazon before, so we used to lose a ton of money, even though we had like various subscriptions, especially with Amazon Fresh, and I also worked in B2B space, where the B2B subscription model, as you guys know, is kind of very different versus B2C. And like we were kind of Amazon Business was launched in 2017, so we were pretty new. So for B2B, subscription was very different and pretty unique and a problem on its own to solve. So we had to lose a lot of money, honestly, initially, but we came it back pretty strong within a year.
Actually, this made me think about one thing, right? It's a very interesting. I've read it somewhere. Think about Costco. Okay, you're paying an annual subscription to go to a store where you want to make a purchase about other products, and Costco is making money from you because you're giving an annual subscription and you're buying products. Costco is making money from the actual the other side of the marketplace, which is the actual seller who is trying to buy the shelf space so that they can put their products. I'm like, you're making both the consumers and also the sellers pay money to you so that they can come to your store and purchase. Yeah. But I think that also helps them retain the customers continually so that they can reduce their costs and stuff and still give the bulk products at a certain price. I want to switch to this, right? Artificial intelligence. Without that, I don't think any podcast can end nowadays. So, Kaushik, want to understand your thoughts there. Like, how is AI transforming the subscription-based business? Like, are there any benefits that you guys are starting to see at the moment?
Absolutely funny. So I want to think of AI as like an enabler for the business. And right now you are actually seeing AI coming into picture where customer journeys are helpful, where AI can be helping you scale, helping you personalize, and helping you from a cost savings perspective. So, and it's not AI, generative AI is where it's more helpful right now. And if you want to specifically think about where in the customer journey, for example, in the subscription side, you can think about when customers are thinking to cancel. When customers are thinking to cancel, that's a space where AI can really help in those three facets of, cost savings, personalization, and scalability. I'll pause now. If we can maybe go deep into maybe any use case if you think you have in mind, then yeah.
No, that's a very interesting space, right? Because when you think about a customer leaving, like when we were talking about, like customer possibly has made up their mind to say, dude, I don't want to spend so much amount of money, so I'm going to cancel. So it's a very difficult turn point where you want to keep the customer, but it's difficult to keep the customer because they don't want to pay. Yeah, would you be able to give any use case? Like, did you guys do any experiments to figure out how to reduce the churn rate for the customers?
I would say we are looking at options, but nothing as such which is implemented. But like, if you look at the industry in itself, you have a lot of these AI tools coming up, which can be that agent for you who is able to converse with the patient, or who is able to converse with the customer here and really understand, hey, why are you trying to cancel? And based on why they're trying to cancel, the generative AI can really come up with solutions and figure out the right solution. Obviously, you need a big training data set to make that AI trained to start giving the best solution out there. So, for example, if I want to cancel, price is a lever, or pausing is a lever, or whatnot, right? Like the generative AI does not know what it is. But what's happening is the generative AI can come in here and like plug in that gap and try to figure out that exact solution. What could be used for the customer. And I think we're still in the early phases of figuring out like what really works. There's a lot of tools out there, especially subscriptions. You want to look at like the size of the company. Do you want to actually build it yourself, or do you want to go buy it? There are a lot of vendors right now who are in that space, who are trying to figure out solutions and like be integrated with you in generative AI. I also want to add that one thing you're actually seeing from a customer point of view is generative AI is great, but your implementation and execution is super important. You don't want to plug in AI everywhere you want to plug in AI, because customer behavior really changes based on what they're interacting with. I'll give you an example here is when you're talking to a real person, a customer is going to explain why they are going to cancel. But when they know you're talking to an AI agent, the customer doesn't want to explain. Like the customer wants to just get to the point straight. Like they're not going to spend time explaining what's happening. So that itself cripples that AI generative model to actually understand what's going on for the customer. So there is customer behavior here, which we need to really unpack and like understand if the customers will change their behavior, especially talking to agents. So this is just a one specific use case where execution also matters. But there's other cases, right? Like that is finding the right solution. But if you think about just from a business point of view, scalability, you can actually now reduce your time to respond to the customer. While when you are waiting for like a day, or you're waiting for a few hours to get a response from an agent, now you can actually get information really quickly on like what can be done. So that's a game changer too. So there are use cases I think we should like think about and like figure out what is the most important one to solve for immediately and get the most bang for the buck.
Yeah, I can totally see the engagement part, right? Because previously you might have to stick to a specific copy that you want to send to the customers, or like a cohort of customers. Now you can probably customize it to individual customers based on what you understand for them. And also the churn indicators, like you were mentioning, right? It's a very reactive approach where customer comes to you and tells that, hey, I want to churn. But rather you could use AI to continually understand that customer and see the indicators, like, is this customer going to churn? Are there different indicators that are telling me that this person is gonna leave? Then probably start to improve the experience for that customer so that they'll continually stay for a longer period of time. Yep.
Yeah, agree 100%.
Yeah, those are the primary questions I have. Sidhu, Srinath, anything else from you guys?
Oh, I think yeah, we did go through a lot of information, right? in this podcast.
Yeah, I think we're good. But one thing I think probably question on top of every PMs, and I'm sure like a lot of organizations are continue to push us think about AI. Like in every there's no product roadmap nowadays without an AI item. I know some companies are moving very fast. One thing which I've observed in JP Morgan, I mean, they've been doing a lot in the behind. And they're not like pushing people very fast, but they still want us to think through in our product roadmaps. But I heard from a couple of my friends like, okay, you need to implement it. You need to implement, but I think we have to be extremely careful the way we implement, like for the reasons that you mentioned, Kaushik.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Kaushik, last thing. So before we end our podcast, right? Typically we end with these couple of questions. So if there is a couple of books that you would recommend, or podcasts that you would recommend for product managers, probably in the subscription space or in general, like anything that you could give.
Yeah, I don't have anything specific for subscriptions, funny, but maybe I'll share what's been useful for me recently, and especially when you're growing up the PM ladder, um, a lot of it becomes your conversations, and I think Crucial Conversations is one book which I would talk about. Like it's tools for talking when stakes are high. Um, it's important for you to have that conversations and continuing to have that influence with leaders, and being able to put yourself in a good position. The second thing, this is more of a personal book for me. I think I like to go back to this one, is Mindset. Having it's the Mindset is a book which it really talks about how you look at life and how to have a really great mindset about things on like what you want to do. Um, For podcasts, I don't listen a lot, but Lenny's is something which I just switch it on, and then it's great content which is directly available to you. And the other one is How I Built This, which is very entrepreneurial and talks about what entrepreneurs go through from a journey point of view and setting up their organizations.
Awesome. Honestly, I haven't read both the books, but I should try it out. Yeah. Awesome, Kaushik.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking time. Love the conversation today, and have a nice day.
Thank you,
Yep.
Funny.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Kaushik.
Srinath. Thanks, Siddharth.
Thank you.